Hello, welcome back. Today I'm doing a video that absolutely nobody asked for, but we're doing it anyway. And today I want to share my top 10 favourite breakfast spots in York. If you know me at all, you will know that going out for breakfast or brunch with friends is like the highlight of my life. It's one of my favourite things to do. I've lived in York for about 8 years now, and one of the beautiful things about this city is that there are some really lovely independent places to eat, and I have selflessly and heroically took it upon myself to try all of the breakfast spots I can find in the hope of compiling my top 10 recommendations for you. It's a tough job, but somebody's got to do it, and I really hope you're going to find this helpful, whether you are a local looking for some new places to eat or whether you're visiting York on a day trip or on a holiday. I am really excited to share these places with you. Couple of important points for context before we start. Number one, I am disabled. I am a wheelchair user. I use mobility aids on some days but not other days. Not every restaurant on this list is wheelchair accessible. There are some that I have done on days when I wasn't using my wheelchair. As much as I wish that every place was accessible, I know that I can't change the world, although I am working on it. You might notice on this list there are a few of the big hitters missing, and that is because they have shown that they don't value their disabled customers in the same way as non-disabled customers. And I don't say that lightly. Generally in life I kind of have a 3 strikes and out system, so I let people do questionable things 3 times before I'm like, nope. And there are a couple of places where you might think, I wonder why that's not on there, and it is probably because of that. I will say actually that if you're disabled or a wheelchair user and you're visiting York, I do have a blog post sharing my favourite wheelchair accessible cafes and coffee shops, and also one for pubs and bars. I will leave them linked below. The second important thing to note is that I am a very allergic to life human being. I have a lot of allergies and a lot of dietary requirements, again tied to my disability, and there are a few places that again I've had to eliminate entirely because of the allergy risk for me. I make judgments on a case-by-case basis, and that's why some have been excluded. And wherever possible I do try and eat vegan, so I'm not going to bore you with all of my allergies, but basically eating vegan is sometimes easier and sometimes much more difficult, so I really don't beat myself up when I can't. I'd say my diet's about 80% vegan, but in most of the places on this list I've been more than once and I've tried a non-vegan option and a vegan option, so they're both reliably good. Enough waffling, let's do it. I'm going to go backwards 10 to 1. Number 1 being the best, and starting with number 10, that is Wheldrake's. Now Wheldrake's is in my head an example of a proper cafe. So in York there are lots of lovely and bougie and Instagrammable places, but when I think of a cafe I think of somewhere like Wheldrake's. It's got a lovely friendly atmosphere, it's always bustling with people, it's got a menu with good hearty food, and the staff are so lovely. When the waitress came to take our order, the first thing she said was, does anybody have any allergies? And she actually apologised for checking and being thorough with it, as if it was a bad thing, and I was like, no, that is so amazing to see, because I feel reassured that you're taking it seriously. The menu in Wheldrake's is quite traditional, so it's mostly like a full English and breakfast sandwiches. They do have some pastries and freshly baked things at the front. I will say that there weren't a great amount of vegetarian and vegan choices at this one, but it is somewhere I would still go back to because it was very affordable, very welcoming, and it makes me happy to give my business and my custom to really lovely staff who clearly really care about their customers. Number 9 is Penny's Bespoke Food House, and this was quite a random find, but I am so glad we visited. It's a little bit out of the way, it's towards where the student castle is, but it is one of the cutest and quirkiest places I've ever been, and again the staff was so lovely. There's not a great deal of seating in this one, so I think it's a good idea to get there quite early. The beauty of a small place like that is that they go above and beyond to make sure your order is exactly as you like it. So not just how much you want the bacon cooked, but whether you want the hash brown on the sandwich or next to the sandwich, what sauce, and they really paid attention to getting it right. Again, it's quite a traditional menu. We had the breakfast sandwiches, we added a few bits and pieces on, we had some freshly squeezed orange juice. Try that again. We had some freshly squeezed orange juice, which was so lovely and I definitely recommend, and all of it was again very reasonably priced. Number 8 is 1331, and one of the single best things about this place is that it opens earlier than many other places. So one of my big gripes about a lot of the breakfast spots in York is that they don't open until 10 o'clock, sometimes even later. But if you want somewhere where you can have a nice, comfortable sit-down breakfast but still leave plenty of time to make the most of your day, 1331 tends to open a little bit earlier. Again, lovely menu, great prices, and 1331 was the first place where I had my first good vegan breakfast. My first proper vegan breakfast where it didn't feel like a throwaway or an afterthought. My first one where I sat down and I really enjoyed it. It's got an outdoor courtyard, so there's indoor and outdoor seating, and it feels lovely and peaceful. Even though it's quite central, you're not in like the immediate hustle and bustle. But I will say that if you're using mobility aids, getting to this place is incredibly cobbly and painful. It hurt, it physically hurt. So do be conscious of that if you're using a wheelchair like mine. But if you're on two legs or you're able to hack it, 1331 is a really great option, especially if you're coming up for the day. Number 7 is Brooks, and Brooks is another centrally located place that is a cafe, and in my head it's a proper cafe. It's lovely and cozy, it's always full of people, the staff are so lovely, and it serves really delicious hearty food. And the thing I remember about Brooks is that even though I don't think you can see a menu online, I remember looking and thinking, not just for breakfast but for other meals as well, they have a great selection of vegan options. I had their vegan breakfast the last time I went. It was great, and it had a few bits on that you wouldn't normally expect, which I really enjoyed. So it had bubble and squeak on it, and it was the first time I'd ever tried it, but oh my goodness, having something like that. And on the day we visited, it was really grey and rainy, so just walking into somewhere so warm and welcoming and having proper nice food like that, it was fabulous. Number 6, it's probably a push to call this a breakfast place, but it's too good not to include it, and that place is Divine Coffee. Now, from the outside, this place isn't easy to spot. It's very small, it's up Micklegate, and you do have to look out for it, and inside it's very small and compact as well. But this is the location of the best bagel I have ever had in my life, and I think about that bagel at least once a day. Divine are best known for their coffee, so if you're a coffee drinker, personally I'm a tea drinker, please don't hate me. If you're a coffee drinker, it's great to go for that reason alone, but they also do a selection of freshly made bagels. They change the menu quite regularly, I think, but there's always a good selection, and although I think it caters more for sort of lunchtime, there are usually some good breakfasty options as well. So they do things like bacon and sausage. The first time I went, I had vegan cream cheese. I usually go for the sesame one, and I don't have the vocabulary for how good this bagel was, you just have to believe me. Their bakery is nut free, and that is like music to my very allergic little ears. It's nut free, they have great vegan options, and just stuff like that really takes away a lot of the worry that comes with dining out with food allergies. As well as the bagels, they've got a counter on the front, they've got lots of freshly baked treats. They do things like croissants and pain au chocolat, so that caters more for breakfast as well. And because it's nut free, I've actually been able to enjoy some of the treats sometimes. Number 5 is Source, S-O-U-R-C-E. And Source is a fully vegan restaurant. It's been open for a long time, but it recently reopened as fully vegan, which I was very excited about. And the great thing about that is that they had quite a unique menu where a lot of the things on it are things that you usually can't find in a vegan form. So like they had all the traditional sort of like full English breakfasts, but then they also had things like, I don't know how you say this, like shakshuka, and like a chickpea omelette, and just stuff that's a bit different. I had the full vegan breakfast and it was absolutely lovely. Again, there were slightly different bits on there. I wasn't keen on the grilled tempeh, but I've tried it since and I just don't think I like tempeh. But they did do something magical with tofu that really made it taste like scrambled egg, and it was truly the closest thing I've tasted to egg in the whole time since I've not been able to eat dairy. So it's a great breakfast, it's a lovely menu, nice environment. I think the only reason it's not higher is because it was more expensive. I think I expected it to be head and shoulders above the other vegan breakfasts, and in some ways it was, but not enough for me to put it higher on my personal list. Number 4 is a place called The Habit, and you might not necessarily think that a place like this would do breakfast, but it does, and it's lovely. It's a fairly small breakfast menu. I've had both vegan and non-vegan full Englishes here, but the thing that sets The Habit apart is the roof terrace. You wouldn't know it was there unless you need to look for it. You can't see it from the outside, but it's this beautiful little terrace on the top. It's got the most gorgeous views of the Minster. It's very cute with little like lights up and stuff. It's worth saying as well that obviously that's not accessible because it's upstairs, but The Habit is level access at the bottom. So I've been many times where I've gone in my power chair and they've let me leave my power chair in a corner downstairs so I can walk up the stairs and enjoy it. That's not a privilege everybody has, but I just thought I'd flag it because the option is there. I'm just looking at number 2 and number 3. I'm going to change my order. I'm going to make a judgment call. So I'm now going to call number 3 coffee culture, It's a really great place, not just for eating, but if it's a quiet day, it's a really lovely place to take your work and just like have a hot drink and do your work in there. So it's quite a small and quaint place. It has a lovely menu, great range of hot drinks. The menu is quite artisan, but it does cater for vegetarians and for vegans. I've tried a few things. I didn't rate the breakfast sandwich. It was nice, but it didn't blow me away. But I did have the full vegan breakfast and it was gorgeous. It's so silly that this sticks in my mind, but they did like this little thin slice of ciabatta bread on the side with vegan butter on, and it's one of the best things I've ever eaten. It was absolutely delicious. Coffee culture is a great shout if you want somewhere very Instagrammable, very cute with lovely decor. There's lots of little cozy corners and nooks. Worth bearing in mind that the steps are quite steep, so even if you don't use mobility aids, if you have mobility issues, it's something to be aware of. But if you can hack it, like I said, it's probably one of my favourite writing spots in the world. You can just sit up in a little corner with your nice hot drink, you can look out at all the people walking on the streets below, and it's just a great time. Number 2 is Driftin', and Driftin' is my absolute go-to. If I'm not sure where to go, I'm gonna go to Driftin'. It is located next to Fat Face. It's like adjoined to Fat Face, which is even better because look at me, I'm always in head to toe Fat Face, so it's just great times all around. And the funny thing is, when it first opened, I could always walk in and get a table. It was usually fairly quiet. But over the last few years, it's absolutely surged in popularity. Like, you can't book, so people queue outside. So that's worth bearing in mind. You do have to be a bit tactical when you're going because it is very popular now. And rightly so, because the menu is beautiful. Again, they've got a great range of veggie and vegan options, and every single thing I've tried has been absolutely delicious. Driftin' is wheelchair accessible. If you go in through Fat Face and just catch someone's eye, they'll let you in that way. It's dog friendly, and it's got quite a unique sort of decor. It's very sort of surfer vibes, like the tables are made out of doors. It's very cool. And like I said, they've got all the typical things you would expect of breakfast and lunch, but a lot of them have got a little twist on to make them extra nice. It doesn't have a massive price point, which is even better. I'm trying to think of things I've had that I've really enjoyed. They do breakfast pancakes that you can make vegan, so like mushroom and like vegan cheese. Open sandwiches on thick sourdough bread like avo and like lots of toppings like that. If you're a very millennial blogger like me, it's heaven. And they do lots of desserty pancakes and like hot chocolates and luxurious drinks and like matcha, and basically they have a really good selection. So even if you can't decide what you're feeling like on that day, there will be something that you are craving. Now, I would say any of my top 3 are quite interchangeable on any given day, but we have come to number 1, and my personal number 1 at this point in time is Partisan. And Partisan is a beautiful place, a beautiful environment that does beautiful, beautiful food. Partisan is based on Micklegate, and as well as being like a coffee shop and a breakfast spot, it's also an art space. They have different exhibitions, there's lots of funky stuff to look at, the decor's all very quirky. They've got a lovely accessible toilet, and this is such a niche thing to say, but even the accessible toilet is decorated beautifully, and that's not always the case with accessible facilities. It is quite small. You kind of walk past the counter into the sort of dining room at the back, though if you are wanting to visit here, I would definitely advise booking in advance. I have managed it in my power chair, which is amazing, but I have quite a slim power chair and I only just did it, so if you have bigger mobility aids, I don't know how doable it would be for you. The menu does change quite a lot seasonally, which is really lovely, but they've always got a good amount of breakfast and brunch options. They've got both sweet and savoury. My best friend, who doesn't usually go for sweet, went for some French pancakes and she absolutely loved them. I've tried both the non-vegan and the vegan full English. That's my usual go-to, and both were amazing. Again, it's very cute. They come in like a little skillet, a little pan, so you've got your Instagram content if that's what you're there for. But the quality of the food is so lovely, and the thing that really sticks in my head is they do these homemade smoky beans, and they are absolutely delicious. I could eat them every day and never get bored. Like many other places, they do also have their counter with freshly baked goods. I think Partisan is just one of those places where you know you're reliably going to have a good experience. It's a beautiful environment, great food, and just a lovely experience all around. I mean, all of the top 10 are great, but those top 3 are the best of the best in my humble opinion. Like I said, there are a few big hitters in York that have been missed off deliberately because of their approach to disabled customers. But nevertheless, I'd love to hear your own thoughts. I'd love to hear which is your favourite or the one you'd most like to go to. If you're new here, I'd love it if you subscribed. I make lots of different videos about lots of different things, and I also have a blog called Life of Pippa. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you found it helpful, and I'll see you next time.